Hi everyone, welcome to this interesting video tutorial by Simplilearn. Today, we will learn the top 10 Microsoft Excel functions that will help you master Excel for calculation, data manipulation and analysis. Excel has a collection of mathematical, text, date and time and financial functions that you can use. We'll touch upon them in this video. So let's see what is a function in Excel. So a function in Excel can be thought of as a predefined formula to perform calculations using specific values in a particular order. In order to use a function, you must understand the various arguments in it. It is used to perform complex operations that cannot be done manually. Functions have names that show their intended use. Some of the common functions in Excel are sum, average, count, maximum and minimum. Now, let's look at the top 10 Excel functions that we'll be covering in this video. We will first understand trim and concatenate. Then, we'll learn how to extract characters using left and right functions. Moving further, we will see how VLOOKUP and index match work. Next, we'll focus on using conditional functions such as if and if error. We will work on SUMIF and COUNTIF functions as well. Finally, we will get an idea about the important date and time functions along with a popular financial function that is PMT. So let me open an Excel sheet and help you understand each of these functions with examples. First, let's explore what trim function does in Excel. So the trim function in Excel removes all the unnecessary spaces from a text string except for single spaces between words. So the trim function will delete all the spaces from the start and end of a string, leaving only single spaces between the words. So here you can see in the A column we have a column name called input name. So we have a list of popular cricketers. So if you see here, there are additional spaces between Ricky and Ponting, and here you can see for Rahul Dravid there are some spaces at the beginning and towards the end as well, and similarly we have some extra spaces in the name here. So using the trim function will delete all these unnecessary spaces. So here in the input length column, I'll first find the length of the input names. So I'll use the len function and my parameter would be A2, which is Kumar Sangakkara here. If I hit enter, you see it has taken a total of 16 characters. I'll copy this formula for the next 3 cells as well. Alright, you can see we have the input length here. Now to delete the unnecessary spaces, I'll use the trim function. So you can read here, the trim function removes all spaces from a text string except for single spaces between words. Now I'll give my text as A2. If I close the bracket and hit enter, you see I have my output. Now let's calculate the length here. The parameter would be C2 here. Let me hit enter. Okay, so for this string, the input length and the output length are the same. Now this suggests that there were no extra spaces at the beginning or in between or towards the end of the string. Now let's check for the second name. So I'll use the trim function. You can see the change now. If I run it, you see here there is only one space between Ricky and Ponting, but if you see the input, there were a lot of spaces between them. Now just calculate the output length. Alright, so if you see in the input length, the total length was 19 and we removed the extra spaces using the trim function, and you can see the change in the output length. We have reduced it by 5 characters. Okay, now similarly let's do it for Rahul Dravid as well. I'll use the trim function and I'll pass in my input name. I'll hit enter. Okay, now let's calculate the output length as well. Alright, you can see there is a massive difference between the input length and the output length of Rahul Dravid. And let's do it for Brian Lara as well. Alright, so you can see here we have reduced all the spaces that were present here. I'm moving the cursor, you can see it. There were a lot of unnecessary spaces between Brian and Lara. Okay, now let's calculate the output length as well. Alright, so you see here the input length was 14 and the output length is 10 now. Okay, now you can also use the clean function along with the trim function. So I'll show you how to do it. So we have a text here which says Saurav Ganguly is from India, and if you see the cell, we have written in 2 lines. Now if you want to write it in a single line and delete all the unnecessary spaces, you can use the clean function along with the trim function. So I'll write first trim function, and within trim function I'll give my clean function. So it is asking for a text. I'll give A9 and let me close the bracket and hit enter. There you go. You can see we have cleaned our text and we have arranged Saurav Ganguly is from India in a single line. So this is how the trim function works. Now let's move ahead and look at our second function that we have, which is concatenate. You can see the sheet name. So the concatenate function helps to join multiple text strings into one single string. So here you see we have 2 columns. The first column is the first name and the second column has the last name of the popular cricketers. Now we want to create another string by joining column A and column B so that we get a full name. So let me show you how to do it using the concatenate function. So I'll write equal to concatenate. It is asking the parameters as text1, text2 and so on. So my first parameter would be the first name. I'll give a comma and I'll give a space by inserting double quotes. Next, my text3 would be the last name. So I have given 3 parameters. A2 is my first name, then there's a space followed by the last name. If I close the bracket and hit enter, there you go. So we have merged column A, then there's a space, and then we have the last name. So let me just copy this formula. There you go. So we have successfully created the full name from the first name and last name using concatenate function in Excel. There is another way to concatenate or merge strings, which is without using the concatenate function. So you can use ampersand there. So let me show you how to do it. So suppose you want to merge Kumar and Sangakkara, you can select A2 and then give ampersand. Next, give a space followed by another ampersand and then select Sangakkara or B2 and just hit enter. You can see this also has given a full name, which is Kumar Sangakkara, and it has joined the first name and the last name. Similarly, if you want to do for some other cricketer, let's say Rahul Dravid, I'll select A4 followed by an ampersand and then a space using double quotes, again an ampersand, and then I'll choose P4 and hit enter. There you go. So we have created a full name, that is Rahul Dravid. Okay, now moving to our third function where we'll explore how left and right works. So here we have a full name column where we have a list of 4 cricketer names. Using the left and right function, we'll extract the first name and the last name. So the left function returns the number of characters from the start of a text string, and the right function returns the number of characters from the end of a text string. So using the left function, we'll first extract the first name. So let me show you how to do it. So I'll write equal to left. It is asking for a text, so I'll give my column reference, which is A2, comma, then we have to give the number of characters. So to find the number of characters, I'll use the find function. So basically I want to take everything which is present before the space, so that would be my first name. So I'll write find. I want to find where the first space is in A2. I'll close the bracket and I'll give -1 so that it takes everything that is present before the space. I'll close the bracket and hit enter. There you go. So we have extracted the first name. Let me copy this formula. Alright, so it works perfectly. You can again see the function again. So we have left, and then we are passing the text, which is A4 here. Then we want to find where the first space is. So we are using the find function to find where the space is, and we are using -1 to take everything that is present before the space. Let me hit enter. Okay. Now similarly, we'll find the last name using the write function. So equal to write, my text would be A2, comma, I'll use this time the length function and the find function to find the number of characters. So what I'll do is, since we want the last name, so we'll find the length of the total string and subtract the number of characters that are present before the space. So I'll write length. I want to find the length of A2 minus, I'll use the find function, and I want to find where the space is in A2. Let me close the bracket and hit enter. There you go. So we have found out the last name of the cricketer Kumar Sangakkara. And now let me just copy this formula so you can see how it works. So we have successfully extracted the last name from the full name column using write function. Now moving ahead, let's look at how VLOOKUP works. Now VLOOKUP is a very popular function that is widely used in the industries. So the VLOOKUP function looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table and then returns a value in the same row from a column you specify. So we have a table here. This is sort of an employee table where we have the first name of the employee, the last name of the employee, then we have the employee ID and the department to which each of these employees belong to. So we have IT, finance, marketing, HR and sales. Now using VLOOKUP, we'll find out specific information for each of the employees. We have a question here that we want to find the employee ID of Mia. So from the table you can see we have the first name Mia, the actual name is Mia Cook, and the employee ID is 104H. So I want to find 104H for Mia. So let me show you how to do this using VLOOKUP function. So I'll write VLOOKUP. Now the first parameter or argument is the lookup value, which is Mia here. So I'll select A12, comma. Now I'll give my table array. So I'll select from A1 till C6. You can also go till D6 if you want. I'll select till C6, comma. My column index number is basically my employee ID. So in our table array, my employee ID is present at the third column. So I'll give 3, which is my column index number, comma. I want an exact match. So I'll give 0. Close the bracket and hit enter. There you go. So we have the employee ID of Mia, which is 104H. Now let's see another example. In this, I want to find the department of Santner. Now Santner, if you see in the table, is the last name of the employee Joseph. So the full name is Joseph Santner. I want to find the department, that is finance. So using VLOOKUP, let's see how to do it. I'll write VLOOKUP. My lookup value is Santner, comma. My table array should be from last name till the end of the table. So B1 to D6, comma. My column index number is again 3 this time, because if you consider this as our table array, department is present at the third column. So that becomes the column index number, comma. The range lookup would be 0 since I want an exact match. If I hit enter, there you go. So Santner is from the finance department, which is the output here. Now there is one limitation of VLOOKUP, which is VLOOKUP always looks at the table from left to right. So your lookup value should always be present to the extreme left of the table. But if you want to find a value from right to left, meaning that the lookup value is to the right of the table, then you can use the index match function. So our fifth function in our list will be index match. So we have a table here, which is the same table that we saw in VLOOKUP. So this is an employee table. We have the first name, the last name, the employee ID and the department, and the same values that we saw in VLOOKUP. Now using index match, we'll perform specific operations. So we have a question here to find the department of Lenin. So if you see in the table, our third employee is Lenin and the department is marketing. So let me show you how using index match you can do this. So I'll write equal to index. Now I'll pass my array, which is going to be from A1 to D6, that is the entire table, comma, to find the row number I'll use the match function. I'll write match. My lookup value would be Lenin, which is A11 here, comma. My lookup array is basically the column in which Lenin is present, which is the first name. So I'll choose A1 to A6. That becomes my lookup array, comma, match type would be 0 since I want an exact match. Close the bracket, give another comma, and now we want the column number. Now since considering our table array, the department is present at the fourth column, so my column number becomes 4. Close the bracket, hit enter. There you go. You see here Lenin is from the marketing department. So this we performed using index match, where we gave the table array and then we gave the row number using match function, and finally we'll inserted the column number. Okay, now let's solve another example. So here we want to find the first name of employee ID 102F. So in the table 102F belongs to Joseph. So we want to find the first name of the employee ID 102F. Now this time my lookup value is present to the right of the table and the information that we want is present to the left of the table. So this you cannot perform using VLOOKUP, and index match fits in this position. So let me show you how to do it. I'll write index. My table array would be from A1 to, you can choose till C6, because I don't want any of these information regarding department. I'm only concerned with the employee ID and the first name. So that is going to be my array, comma, row number we are going to find using the match function. So I'll write match and my lookup value is 102F, which is the employee ID of Joseph, comma, my lookup array is the C column. So I'll select from C1 to C6, comma, I want an exact match, so I'll use 0. I'll give another comma, and column number we are again going to find it using match function. The last time we directly passed the value, and this time we are going to use the match function to find the column number as well. So I'll write match and I want to find the first name, so that is going to be my lookup value, first name. I'll give a comma. My lookup array is going to be from A1 to C1, which is basically the column names, comma, then I'll give 0 since I want the exact match. Let me close the brackets and hit enter. Okay, so we have the right result, that is Joseph. So for employee ID 102F, the first name is Joseph. So you saw how an index match works and how it is different from VLOOKUP. Alright. Okay. So the next function we are going to look at is if. So the if function checks whether a condition is true or not. If it is true, the function will return one value, and if it is false, the function will return another value. So here we have a data on companies directory. You can see we have the different company names here. Then we have the country to which the companies belong to. And we have a question at hand, that is to find the companies that are Indian. If you see this column, we have a few companies that are from India. So if the company is from India, we want to assign a value that is local. And if it is not an Indian company, we'll assign a value that is foreign. So let me show you how to do it using the if function. So here we have the column which says foreign or local. So I'll write my if function. I'll write if. First, it is asking for a condition that is logical test. I want to see whether the value at B3 is equal to India, and if it is India, I'll assign the value if true, that is local, else if it is not India, we'll assign foreign. Okay, so this is how the if function works. So first it will check for the condition. If the condition evaluates to true, it will result in local. If it is false, then it will result in foreign. Close the bracket, hit enter. Alright, now since the country is India and the company Tata Motors is from India, so we assigned a value that is local. Now you can just drag this formula to fill the rest of the cells. Alright, so if you see here, we have India for Tata Motors, then we also have local for State Bank of India, which is also an Indian company. Then we have for Infosys, which is from India, and here you can see we have Bharti Airtel. Alright, and the remaining companies are foreign companies. Okay, now let's see another example. So here we have a small table. We have the salesperson column. So we have Daniel James, Jimmy Walter and Vikrant Gupta, and here we have the revenue that these salesperson had generated. We want to add a bonus to these salesperson, or you want to give a bonus to these salesperson. So the question at hand is, we will add a bonus of 10% when the revenue is greater than 50,000, else we'll give them 5% bonus. So let me show you how to do it using the if function. So I'll write if. In logical test, I'll use if the revenue, that is B24, is greater than 50,000, then we'll give a bonus of 10%. So I'll give B24 and multiply that with 0.1, which is 10% of revenue, and this will only hold true if the revenue is greater than 50,000, else we'll give a 5% bonus. So I'll write B24 and multiply it with 0.05, which is 5% of the revenue. I'll close the bracket and hit enter. Okay, so here, since Daniel James had created a revenue of $35,000, so he got $1,750 as the bonus, which is 5%. Now let me just copy this formula. Alright, so if you see, Jimmy Walter and Vikrant Gupta had a revenue of 56,000 and 60,000 respectively, which is greater than 50,000, so they got a bonus of 10%.
Choose from over 300 in-demand skills and get access to 1,000 plus hours of video content for free. Visit SkillUp by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
Now let's see the seventh function in our list, which is if error. Alright, so the if error function returns the error value if the expression is an error. Otherwise, it returns the value of the expression if there is no error. So here we have a question at hand. We want to find the average price of each item. If the calculation is wrong, we'll display a message that is invalid operation. So here we have a small table. The first column we have the different items. So we have laptop, chairs, phone, speaker and t-shirt. Then we have the sales that was made from selling each of these items. And here there is some discrepancy in the data, and we have made this purposely. If you see, we had some sales for phone and t-shirt, but under units sold, we see there were no units sold, so the value is 0 here. Now if you want to calculate the average price, so you need to divide the sales and the units sold. So if you want to find the average price for phone and t-shirt, it will throw an error. So in that case, we will display a message that is invalid operation. So let me show you how to use if error in this case. I'll write equal to if error. The first argument is value. So to get the value, I am going to divide my sales by units sold, which is C2. If it results in an error, we will display a message that is invalid operation. You can give any message that you want here. If I hit enter, alright, so the average price for laptop was 60,000. Now if I copy this formula for the rest of the items, there you go. So this was a valid operation. So the average price for each of the chairs was 250. Now here we got invalid operation because we were trying to divide the sales by 0, and similarly for t-shirt also we are trying to divide by 0, hence it resulted in an error and gave us a message that is invalid operation. So this is how an if error works. You can use if error along with VLOOKUPs, XLOOKUP, HLOOKUP and other functions as well. Alright, now moving to the next sheet. So here we will explore two more crucial Excel functions that are used during analysis, such as budget analysis. Now I am talking about SUMIFs and COUNTIFs. So the SUMIFs function adds the cells specified by a given set of conditions or criteria. So let me show you how SUMIFs work. So here we have a table where we have the order date, then we have a few brand names of different wristwatch, then we have the model number, we have the quantity that was sold, we have the different country names in which the brand of watch was sold, and then we have the price of each of the items or the brands. So the first question we are going to look at, we want to find the total quantities sold of Fossil watch in the United States. So to solve this problem, I'll use the SUMIFs function. I'll write equal to SUMIFs. I'll hit tab to autocomplete. The first argument is sum range. So since I want to find the total quantities, so my sum range would be from D2 to the end of the column, which is D3913. Let me go to the top. Alright, comma. Next, it is asking to enter the criteria range 1. So my first criteria would be the country column. So I'll write from E2 to E3913, comma, my criteria 1, that is United States. Next, it is asking to enter the second criteria range. My second criteria range would be the brand of the watch. So I'll write from B2 to B3913, comma, and the criteria 2 would be Fossil watch. Let me close the bracket and hit enter. Alright, so the total quantities sold for Fossil watch in the United States was 275. So this is how the SUMIFs function works. Next, we'll look at the COUNTIFs function. So the COUNTIFs function counts the number of cells specified by a given set of conditions or criteria. So here we have a question at hand, which is to find the number of days Casio was sold in Canada. So we want to see the number of days in which the Casio brand of watch was sold in Canada. So in this case, I'm going to use the COUNTIFs function. So I'll write COUNTIFs. I'll give my criteria range 1 as the brand column, and my criteria would be Casio, comma, in the criteria range 2, I'll give the country column, which is the E column, and the criteria would be Canada. So close the bracket and hit enter. Alright, so for 21 days Casio was sold in Canada. Alright, now let's look at our final example in this section of SUMIFs and COUNTIFs function. So we want to find how many times a Diesel brand watch was sold with a price greater than $200. So I'll use the COUNTIFs function again, and my criteria range 1 would be the brand column, comma, the criteria would be I need the details about Diesel brand watch, comma, my criteria range 2 would be the price column, that is the F column, and I want to find how many days a Diesel brand watch was sold with a price greater than $200. So within double quotes I'll give greater than 200. I'll close the double quotes and the brackets. Let's hit enter. Alright, so for 135 times a Diesel brand watch was sold with a price greater than $200. Okay, now let's explore a few date and time functions. So here we have today function, the day function, month, year, now function and time function. So the today function returns the current date or today's date. So if I write equal to today and close the bracket, hit enter, this gives me today's date, which is 18th of March 2021. Now you can use the day function to return the day of the month. So the day function will return a value between 1 to 31, 1 being the first day of the month and 31 being the last day of the month. So I'll write equal to day, and the serial number I'm going to give is the today's date. Close the bracket, hit enter. As you can see, it has given us today's date, that is 18th. Similarly, you can use the month function. So the month function returns the month, which is a number between 1 to 12, where 1 means January and 12 means December. So again, under serial number I'm going to give today's date. If I hit enter, that gives me 3, which means March. Similarly, you can also use the year function. So the year function returns the year from a date value. So my date value is today's date. If I hit enter, this will give us 2021, which is the year. Then we have the now function. So the now function returns the current date and time. If I write now, that will give me today's date and the current time. Alright. Now you can subtract the today function from the now function to get the current time. So if I write now and subtract today and hit enter, that will return the current time. Alright. So moving to our 10th function in the list, we have PMT. So the PMT function in Excel is a financial function that returns the periodic payment for a loan. The PMT function can be used to figure out the future payments for a loan, assuming constant payments and a constant interest rate. So the few parameters that PMT function takes is the rate, which means the interest rate for the loan. Then you have the NPER, which is the total number of payments for the loan. Then you have PV, which is principal value or the present value. You can show the total value for all loan payments now. We have FV, which is the future value or a cash balance you want after the last payment is made. So by default it is 0. Okay, so let me show you how to use the PMT function to find the periodic payment for a loan. So I'll write PMT. It is asking to enter the rate, so I'll select cell B3, which has rate 5%. Then it is asking for NPER. I'm going to give 20. You can assume this as year, which means 20 years, comma. Then it is asking for the present value, which is $100,000, comma. You can give the future value. This is optional. My future value is 0. If I close the bracket and hit enter, it gives me the periodic payment amount. Now if you want, you can also calculate for months. So I can write equal to PMT. Next, I'll give my rate, which is B3. Now this was interest rate per annum. Now since we want to calculate for months, I'll divide this by 12, comma. My NPER this time would be 20 multiplied by 12 since we are calculating for months, comma. My present value is $100,000, comma. My future value is 0. And if you want the type, you can enter 0, which is end of the period. If I hit enter, so the monthly payment would be nearly $659 or $660. Okay. Now let me go back and show you what all we discussed in this demo. So we first started by looking at how the trim function works. Then we saw how to merge two strings using the concatenate function. Then we explored how left and right function works. Then we saw the difference between VLOOKUP and index match. Then we looked at how if and if error works. Then we explored a few examples on SUMIFs and COUNTIFs. Finally, we looked at a few important date and time functions and a financial function, that was PMT. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this video on top 10 Excel functions that you need to know. I hope this was useful and informative. If you have any questions, then please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and keep learning.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.